Welcome. My name is Lauren Phipps. I'm the Director and Senior Analyst on the Circular Economy at GreenBiz, and I am so excited to welcome you to today's fast pitch competition. Now, when it comes to the transition from a linear to a circular economy, we all know that business as usual is not going to cut it, and incremental improvement is not going to be fast enough. It's going to require innovation across the value chain, from new materials to new models and everything in between. And today we are going to hear from 5 amazing entrepreneurs leading this charge. VERGE Accelerate has been a cornerstone program of VERGE since its inception, and it's one of the primary ways that we get to spotlight promising early stage entrepreneurs with solutions across the clean economy. Before we dive in today, I really want to thank ING for their sponsorship of today's program. Now, here's what's going to happen. In just a moment, I'm going to introduce our 2 esteemed industry experts, and we'll get to hear from them between the pitches. We have 5 pitches in total, 2.5 minutes each, and I will say now, if they go over, I'm going to be ruthless and cut them off because we have too much to get through today. Now, it's going to go so quickly that immediately after the session, we're going to be hosting a roundtable discussion where you can come, ask more questions, and hear more from these entrepreneurs. Once the pitches are over, you will all be invited to cast your vote to determine the winners who will advance to pitch on Friday. During the Ultimate Accelerate Showdown, we'll have the winners from the other 4 market-specific sessions, 5 total, to pitch on the main stage. Now, one of the many unique things about VERGE is that we bring together innovative startups with potential partners that can help bring these solutions to scale. So as you're watching today, if you see something that you like, I encourage you to connect with them. Click the People tab on the right side of your screen, search for their name, and send them a message to say hello. These founders are here to connect, so don't be shy. Okay, let's get going. First, I'd love to introduce our esteemed industry experts. I'll let them introduce themselves. Rob Bernard, why don't you go first? 20 seconds or so. Tell us about you.
Thank you so much, Lauren. I'm Robert Bernard. I am the managing director and founding partner of Commonwealth Equity Partners. We invest only in circular economy, sort of mid-market, mid-sized companies, and been a fan and active in VERGE since its inception. So thanks so much for inviting me, Lauren.
Thanks for coming back. And Carolina Oliveira, why don't you introduce yourself?
Sure. Thank you, Lauren. Good afternoon. Good morning, everybody. My name is Ana Carolina Oliveira. I'm currently the head of sustainable finance for ING in the Americas. ING is a Dutch bank, but with presence in more than 40 countries worldwide. And sustainability is really core to our business. We embed it in the way we deal with our customers and the way we manage our own operations. And of course, circularity is a key pillar of this strategy. So very much looking forward to hearing the pitches today.
Awesome. Well, without further ado, let's dive in. Let's start with our first pitch. Please welcome Anirudh Sharma, the co-founder of Graviky Labs. Take it away.
I think you're on mute.
Okay. Hi, I am Anirudh Sharma. I'm the co-founder of Graviky Labs. We are in the business of upcycling carbon emissions into materials that are usable out there. Essentially, like a very simple theory, most of the materials that you see around yourself, mostly conventionally, are produced by deliberately using virgin raw materials, materials that are that don't have an environmental impact, so that it produces pollution, and that's how we get most of our usable materials out there. The idea that we are working on is, what if we use materials that have had an end of life, that are non-virgin in nature, and don't produce pollution, rather consume the pollution by recycling it. By pollution is a very wide term. What we work on is essentially PM 2.5 emissions that are released whenever any kind of fossil fuels are burned out there. We have a proprietary technology called Carlink that we attach to the retrofits of chimneys and different exhausts, where any emissions that are generated from fossil fuel emissions are captured in the raw material form. And then through a chemical process, we are able to extract the material, the carbon-rich material from it, which we further process it down to industrial grades, inks, and pigments. Most people don't know that conventional black color, which is the most commonly used color in the industry, is made by deliberately burning fossil fuels. What we are saying is there's no need to burn fossil fuels to produce this color. You can rather turn the emissions that are present out there into this thing. So you kill 2 birds with 1 stone. So we have a lab that essentially works only on polluting raw materials, including CO2 and PM2.5 carbon. Yeah. Um, the value and the scale of it. So essentially, every year, more than 6 million tons of this material is released into the environment, which leads to global warming and health hazards. And what we see is a great opportunity in upcycling this material, where we have been developing a lot of IP in. Graviky has always been bootstrapped, and our primary business model is through B2B collaborations of IP licensing. This is how the pollution captured from different geographies looks like. Some of the examples of how the collaborations look like. One second. Uh, this is, for example, a collaboration with Dell, where 40 million boxes are printed every year with the ink that is extracted by recycling air pollution. This is an example where the ink that you see on this credit card is actually the pollution extracted from Europe, which is essentially used by MasterCard for meeting their sustainability needs.
Annie, I have to cut you off. Unfortunately, your time is over. Apologies. We're going to have to go to our industry experts now. Thank you. I'm going to pass it to Anna Carolina first. Any thoughts or questions?
Thank you, Laurie, and congratulations. It's a very impressive business model. I'm just curious, you touched upon a little bit already when it comes to scalability. So a question would be whether there are other sources for the carbon capture and sequestration. What could be other sources of your product in that sense?
So we are primarily interested in different grades of PM2.5 emissions so there are, virtually every fossil fuel source that you see, especially in developing countries, which are actually our focus, they produce this kind of emission, and each emission source is different. So the grades of carbon that you recover are different. So some carbons are really good for making, let's say, inks that can go on apparel, but some forms of carbon are really good for making inks that can go into your construction material. So virtually this material itself is our focus area, and there is a lot of it in different forms, but currently at the scale at which we are functioning, we're only doing a very small bit of that capture, but the potential is amazingly huge. So we receive like tens of different samples from different emission sites right now, which we are currently working on and extracting value out of them. Yeah.
Rob, any quick feedback, 20 seconds or so?
No, I think maybe at the roundtable, it would be really great. I'd love to understand a bit more about your B2B IP licensing model. What kind of equipment a company who licenses it would have to buy or build, and how does that work? And how do you think about sort of a growth to profitability? But overall, at a fundamental level, very impressive and very exciting work that you're doing. So thank you for sharing it.
Thanks, Rob.
You'll have to come to the roundtable if you want to hear more. Thank you so much for that pitch. We are going to move quickly along. Please welcome Kristin Kagetsu, the CEO of Saathi, for our next pitch.
Hi, everyone. I'm Kristin, one of the co-founders of Saathi, and we make biodegradable and compostable sanitary pads that are good for the body, community, and environment. I'm a New Yorker that ended up in Ahmedabad, India, to start Saathi with my co-founder, Tarun. We have a shared passion for solving issues that positively impact people. At Saathi, we're addressing three major issues. Meet Komal from Ahmedabad. She was using conventional pads, and for years, she'd been suffering from rashes and UTIs. Almost 60% of women experience UTIs in their lifetime. Meet Lalita Devi from a small village in Jharkhand. She was suffering from reproductive tract infections because of lack of access to pads, where only 18% of women in India have access. And finally, our land and oceans are suffering because conventional pads contain 90% plastic and take 600 to 700 years to degrade. We address these issues in a holistic way by providing a rash and chemical-free experience that's accessible to all and doesn't harm the environment. We've developed a patented technology that converts natural fiber into an absorbent material so that we can make not only pads, but also other absorbent products as well. Our business is simple. We source banana and bamboo fiber from farmers, which we process to make our pads in our factory, and then distribute them to women in urban and rural areas with various distribution methods. We have an innovative circular product and model which integrates all of our impacts into the supply chain so that as we grow, our impacts grow. We address 8 of the UN SDGs, and we provide additional income to banana farmers. We have an all-women staff in our manufacturing unit. We distribute sanitary pads to both urban and rural women, and we measure the reduction of plastic waste and CO2 emissions. Over the last 5 years, we've developed a patented technology grown from making pads by hand to setting up our own manufacturing unit, and started selling our product online via eco-retailers and abroad, including new distributors in the UAE and Indonesia. We aim to revolutionize the hygiene industry as a consumer products company that makes products that are good for your body, the community, and the environment in a sustainable and responsible way. We want to drive systemic change around how menstrual hygiene is addressed and thus drive the shift to a circular economy. That means making sanitary pads that are from sustainable, renewable materials, making them accessible to women no matter where they live, and working with other partners to make sure our products get upcycled. We're raising funds to meet the demand and looking for partners to achieve this vision for a better future for millions more women. Please vote for Saathi in honor of Como, Lalita Devi, and others to help make more success stories like these. Thanks.
Thank you, Kristin, for that great pitch. Anna Carolina, I'll go to you first. Thoughts, questions?
Absolutely. Thank you for doing that and for thinking about the women, making our lives a little bit easier in that sense. You mentioned a bit of the fact that it's biodegradable within 6 months. I was just wondering if you could expand a little bit on that, and also whether are the actions you take to prevent that they use pads and that ended up in the no recyclable stream.
Yeah, so we use only certified compostable materials in order to make our product. And one of the things that we're working on now is streamlining all of the different options that we have for upcycling. So whether that's compost, biomass to energy, biotoilets, etc. There are many, many different options. And we're trying to get a bit more of a procedure around each of those options.
Rob, any questions on your end?
Sure. And again, I'll wait for the roundtable for some more. But some of the things that occurred to me, first of all, it's a great concept here. Is the bamboo and the banana substitutable? You talk about both of them as inputs. Do you actually get paid to offtake those things? If I was a manufacturer or a harvester of bananas or bamboo, what am I doing to dispose of that stuff, and how do you get it at scale? And then, do you have any kind of IP or patents or licenses that protect you so that if this is successful and starts to scale, somebody else can't just come in and unfortunately try to imitate what you've already done and spend so much time building?
Yes, we do have a patent. So we just got it issued this August. So it's
great.
About 4 years in the making. And then in terms of the supply chain, we actually do pay the farmers because we, even though they would normally throw the material away, we want to make sure that this is a sustainable supply chain for the long run. So we do pay the farmers in order to collect up the material. But we do have other options in terms of using alternative fibers as well. Excellent. So that can be dependent on geography.
Thank you so much. More to discuss. Appreciate your pitch, but we have to move on to our next entrepreneur. Please welcome Leah Alvarez, CEO of Fairway Nature.
Hello, everybody. It's a pleasure to be here. So my name is Leah Alvarez. I am the founder of Fairway Nature, and today I want to present you a tool that we are developing that is called Fair Urban Mining, because urban mining can be fun. So this is how the construction sector looks like nowadays. So first you design your home, then you get the material, then you start to build your home, and then you get your home. So after a few years living there, probably you want to refurbish it, or maybe you want to move to a new home. So let's say that after a couple of years, maybe this house is going to get demolished or is going to be refurbished. So what happens with the material? Well, most of the material is going to go to landfill or incineration, or in some cases is going to be downcycled to be used for roads. So after 1 year research, we found a way of closing the loop by quantifying the total amount of material that you can extract from your building and how you can translate this to economic savings and also emission savings that also can lead to economic savings as well. So in here, you can see the basic inputs that we ask from your construction. Then you get a small summary from your input, and then you get the results based on your market price, amount of material, and also emissions. Then you can compare each one of the materials. So our business model is quite straightforward. We are going to charge a subscription fee to the construction sector to be able to use our platform. And our users are mainly focused on the construction sector because they are responsible for 39% of the global emissions of CO2. So that means that we are focused on architects, industry, contractors, governments, and so on. So for scalability, we only need one partner per region to be able to enter to that market. So currently we already have 3 partners. So that means that we are able to enter to 3 regions in the moment that we are going to launch the platform. So right now we already have some recognitions from DTU and also from the city of Melbourne. Science is an innovative solution, but obviously we are always looking ahead. Okay, so thank you very much. That was my pitch.
Thank you so much, Leah. Rob, I'll turn it over to you first. Thoughts?
Great. So thank you. Very excited about this, and the building industry is super in need of some innovation on the waste streams. So one of the questions I have is, in addition to knowing of the availability of materials, I would imagine the materials themselves are pretty heavy in terms of shipping from site to site. So does the platform contemplate any kind of partner network to enable me if I wanted to buy supplies from you because you were demolishing some space? You know, how do we think about that, and how does your model account for that in the platform?
Yeah, so currently we are working in partnerships with different marketplaces. So once you use the platform, you're able to put all of your material in your marketplace and also hire a storage unit to be able to store the material meanwhile you sell it to a third party. So our platform, more than anything, helps to make the connection between the different parties that wants to exchange the material. So in this way, facilitate it for the construction sector instead of just throwing it away.
Great. I do have other questions, but again, people come to the roundtable.
Thanks, Rob. Anna Carolina, anything from you? We have about 45 seconds.
Sure, probably also for the roundtable, but I'm more curious how you measure the impact of those services and advices to your customers. I can imagine that some of them might implement in full what you say, some might not. So I was just curious how you make sure you keep track of that.
Yeah, so I have a background in environmental impact and also architecture. So one of our expertise is measuring the environmental impact of different materials. So the platforms contemplates the average impact of each one of the materials, but the idea is that later on you can specify which material from this category are you using, so you have a better estimate.
Thank you so much. On from construction to coffee cups. Please welcome our next entrepreneur, Tom Chan, co-founder of UNOCUP.
Hi, everyone. Oh, can you hear me? Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm Tom, co-founder of OnoCup. We all love coffee, whether it's from Starbucks or Dunkin' Donuts or your favorite local coffee shop. 76 million Americans get to take out coffee every single day. 97% of that coffee comes with a single-use plastic lid. To give a sense of scale, New York City alone uses enough plastic lids each year to wrap around the world 3 times. Plastic lids have 3 problems. 1, they create hundreds of thousands of tons of plastic waste into the ocean, damaging marine life and endangering our health. Over time, these plastics become microplastics that become in the air you breathe, the water you drink, the food you eat, and they accumulate in our own bodies. 2, plastic lids and coffee cups are separately manufactured, distributed, and stored. 2 parts mean extra energy, extra cost, and extra greenhouse gases. 3, coffee drinkers want an alternative that's sustainable, healthy, and convenient. Yet the paper cup plus lid design has been a complete standstill since the 1960s. What if we can combine both the paper cup and the lid into one single object? And so we created OnoCup, a foldable lid-free paper cup, backyard compostable and recyclable, offering the world's first plastic-free coffee. OnoCup's patent-pending design has been optimized in ease of use, performance, and spill resistance. If the US alone switches to OnoCup, in one single year, we would be saving on 120 billion cup lids, 400,000 tons of plastic waste, and 300,000 tons of CO2 from transportation and production, the same as charging 40 billion cell phones. At scale, OnoCup will be cheaper than the cup plus lid by 25%. OnoCup is in talks with industry-leading companies, and we are raising our first round of investment. We hope you are as excited by OnoCup as we are, so please join us in taking this step towards a cleaner future and eliminate plastic lids once and for all. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Cups are certainly a hot topic right now. Rob, I'll go to you first. What do you think? Oh, you were on mute, Rob.
So since you mentioned hot, I'm going to say the first question is heat transfer. I know that Starbucks has been struggling with this issue for quite a while as they think about alternative cups. How do you guys address that issue?
So our paper cup is suitable for a coffee cup sleeve. So it's just like your paper cup, but without a lid. So it fits a coffee cup sleeve that will solve the heat transfer issue.
Great. Anna Carolina, any thoughts?
Getting rid of the plastic is already great, but I was wondering, have you guys also thought about making the paper, that's used for the cup somewhat recyclable or certified in order to reduce the environmental footprint there too?
Yes, we will be using a water-based coating that is backyard compostable and recyclable.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Tom. We are unfortunately down to our last pitch. Please welcome Diana Yousef, founder and CEO of Changewater Labs, to bring us home.
Hi, everyone. I'm Diana Yousef, founder of Changewater Labs. Half the world's people live with no access to a safe, clean toilet, and that's because they live in places with no sewage plumbing, so they can't flush. In fact, non-sewered sanitation is such a big problem that $18 billion a year gets spent on offline or portable toilets. When you can't flush, things get messy fast, and collecting all that unflushed sewage is hugely costly, frequent, and really that waste is 95% water. So Changewater Labs has come up with a brilliant solution to cut down on waste logistics. Basically, we get rid of the waste inside the toilet itself. Our iThrone is a low-cost drop-in toilet that quickly eliminates daily waste on site by turning it into pure water and power. We use two technologies to quickly upcycle waste. The first is an evaporative membrane that we call shrink wrap for crap. Pouches of this membrane collect and shrink daily waste by soaking up and evaporating liquid content, converting 95% of it into pure molecular water vapor. The second technology is a P-powered biobattery. It uses special microbes to convert urine into electricity. This powers the ventilation inside the iThrone and speeds up evaporation to remove toilet odors. Unlike most portable toilets that need emptying daily, the iThrone needs to be serviced only once per month. Used pouches, which are 95% compostable, could be collected and converted into biofeedstock. Currently, our iThrones are providing safe and sustainable sanitation in Chiboga District, Uganda. Harvested water vapor will provide pure water to the local hospital. Dried urine salts will fertilize local agriculture, and dried solids will fertilize commercial forestry. And urinetricity could supply larger scale off-grid power. In addition to completely upcycling human waste, the iThrone makes safe sanitation much more accessible. Because it's 5 times cheaper than comparable toilets, it cuts collection costs in half, and it makes collections 20 times more scalable. Demonstrating pent-up demand for this type of solution, we've already received $2 million worth of orders from the Turkish government, the UNDP, and private sector construction contractors. Changewater Labs, we want to create solutions that upcycle waste while making safe sanitation accessible to everyone, everywhere.
Thank you, Diana. All right, Anna Carolina, what do you think?
This is very impressive, and I cannot even start to imagine the social benefits and impacts this initiative can have. One thing that comes to mind, there were similar initiatives done. I'm sure you're familiar with the Clinton Foundation, the eco toilet sanitation model. So I was just curious if there was any thoughts about synergies or combining some of the efforts in that sense.
Absolutely. I mean, this is such a huge problem, and what the part that we actually deal with is kind of the rapid volume elimination on site, which no other solution can really do right now at cost. So we actually do have funding from the Gates Foundation actually for this Turkish deployment into Syrian refugee camps, because what we're solving is that piece of the logistics, that piece of the value chain that nobody's been able to crack just yet. But yeah, I mean, combining with composting technologies, also with all the servicers that are out there, like the people like Sanovation and Sanergy and Clean Team, they would be our customers, not, you know, and so, you know, we see this as being additive to the whole ecosystem.
That's great. Rob, in about 45 seconds, any feedback or thoughts?
No, I think it's fantastic. And one of the things I'd like to understand a little bit more is the cost model. I mean, you say it costs 5 times cheaper, but it's still more than zero. So I imagine there's got to be a finance model that you guys have been thinking through in terms of getting the capital needed to start deploying these and getting collection set up.
Well, so initially we're actually targeting B2B sales, where essentially they're already having to spend $1,000 per installation, and we're targeting more like $200, $250 per installation, because what they have to do is, in order to do offsite installations, they usually have to set up water supplies on the front end and collection on the back end. And then there's all the operating costs that go with that, not just the frequent collection, but also the procurement of the water, the procurement often of chemicals, and then the dumping costs. And so we see that, I mean, by talking to them, we actually reduce their upfront CapEx and OpEx costs by 4 to 5 times. So initially it's a B2B play. We're not actually trying to sell toilets to end users, because, I mean, I've never bought a toilet. You might have not bought a toilet unless you've remodeled your house. It's really a B2B, B2G, B2NGO play.
Thanks, Diana, and thank you to all of our amazing and inspiring pitches. What a diverse group that really showcases the breadth of what it takes to make a circular economy a reality. I feel like we could spend another half hour at least learning more about these companies, so good thing that we can. In just a couple minutes, I'll invite you to go to the roundtable session, and I hope that many of you can join us. You'll get to hear more from the industry experts. You can even hop on screen and chat with the entrepreneurs, ask them questions yourself, and it should be great fun. If you go to the sessions section on the left-hand side of your screen, look for one called Accelerate Circular Startup, and that's where the conversation will continue. But first, now it is time to vote. And remember that the winner of the session will get to pitch again on stage on Friday with the other winners of the market-specific Accelerate pitch sessions. So vote for who you want to see on the main stage. Voting will be open for another 30 minutes, so you'll have a chance to, if you have any burning questions before you cast your vote, you can ask them during the roundtable. Voting is happening in a hop-in poll. So on the right-hand side of your screen, look for the polls tab. You'll see the poll asking which startup you want to see win. And please, again, join us at the roundtable. I want to thank all of you for joining us today. I especially want to thank all of these startups for committing yourselves to these incredible solutions and for joining us to pitch today. I know it is not easy to do all of these pitches, and we're so grateful to hear your stories and to hear about the solutions that you're bringing forward. As a reminder, you can search for all of the founders and send them a direct message right here in Hopin to connect. Thank you as well to Rob and Anna Carolina, who will continue the conversation in the roundtable. Thanks again for coming, and see you in the roundtable. Thanks.